we're going to talk about how to build a seven-figure email engine, which is basically a proven system to grow, nurture, and monetize your email list each month. This is something that I could talk about for hours. Email marketing has kind of changed my life unexpectedly. It was more so something that I did on accident. I wish I could say I had the foresight um, to really dive into email and understand it on a deep level. But when I started my nutrition coaching business back in 2018, I've been in the industry for about 12 years total. Owned my own business since 2018 and started writing daily emails. And it became kind of a snowball that started rolling downhill and picked up a lot of momentum. And now this is the primary thing that I do and what I teach and kind of what I'm passionate about. So obviously, we're going to talk about email marketing, specifically how you can install a simple funnel into your coaching business to grow your audience, pre-sell and nurture that audience, and convert new clients with predictability and certainty each month through email directly or sales calls if you prefer. And I say that because kind of jokingly, but kind of not, I had kind of went through a period of growth in my nutrition coaching business where I was doing all of my sales through email without sales calls because I couldn't handle the volume that was coming in, which was a good problem to have. And so rather than just scheduling people on my calendar for calls, I just was like, you know what, let me see if I can get people to sign up directly through email to save me some time. And it worked out really well. I completely got rid of the whole sales process for about a year and a half, just doing everything through email and sometimes through messenger and text. And the reason why I say that is because when you do email the right way, it does such an amazing job of getting your audience pre-sold on what you do. And, basically they know what the process looks like. They know that you're the person they want to work with. They know all the details and information. And it's just a matter of, let's do this. And, how do I get started? So that's kind of what I'm going to go over here. And you won't have to spend hours trying to figure out what to write. You won't have to spend a ton of money on ads. You won't need anything fancy, like no crazy graphics in Canva or anything like that. And, not having to wonder where your next client is coming from. You can do this with as little as one single email per week. And that's kind of the benchmark. Like, in fitness and nutrition, we always talk about consistency. Like, what can you realistically commit to when somebody's just getting started with, let's say, doing a workout plan, going to the gym for the first time? We don't tell them to start going 7 days a week. We figure out what they can realistically commit to. It's the same thing with email. A lot of people send, I talked about a daily email. You don't have to send a daily email. You can just do one per week and still have really significant growth and progress in your business. And if you're already creating content, then you likely have everything that you need right now. You can get rid of the guesswork. You can start building your list, monetizing your efforts. If you're, the hard part is being consistent with content creation. If you're already doing that, you're well ahead of the game. So specifically, this is going to be for anybody in the health and wellness space, nutrition coaches, trainers. I've worked with people in other industries as well, but I'm in the fitness space, so that's kind of who I speak to: nutrition coaches, health practitioners, fitness professionals, all across the board. Again, the principles apply to any industry. So this is something I've worked with some random businesses across different niches, and it still is effective no matter what industry. But really, this is for you if you aren't using email marketing, but you should. If you're sending emails but not really getting much out of it, or if you're seeing traction with email marketing but you want to optimize what you're doing. For those of you who are on here live, if you don't mind telling me which bucket you fall into, one, two, or three, you can just drop the number in the chat. If you're not sending any emails at all, that would be a one. If you're sending emails but you're not getting much out of it, that would be a two. And if you're sending emails and seeing some traction but you want to do even better, that would be a three. If you don't mind dropping that in the chat so I can get a sense of who's here and where you're at. Okay, number one, good. Two, three, nice. So we've got a little bit of everything. All right. So with any of these, I can show you some simple shifts to make that you can optimize or start getting traction out of it, especially if you're a number one and you're not sending emails at all. That's usually my favorite because there's some quick wins that can be had. Number two as well, if you're sending emails but you haven't gotten any clients from email, I can show you some simple shifts that you can make to get some quick wins and some new clients, really in as little as 1 to 2 weeks. So it doesn't take much time to start seeing traction with some simple shifts. And the reality is, the reason why is the money is in the list. And that's not just me saying it. That is backed. You can look this up. Go to Google and search email marketing revenue in 2023 was 11 billion. Average ROI for email marketing in 2023 was 36x. So for every dollar that was spent on email marketing across the board, all industries, all businesses across the board, every dollar spent on email marketing, $36 was made back. And you can search any year. And literally, if you just go to Google and say, what was the average ROI for email marketing in 2022, 2024, 2021? It doesn't matter. Search any year and you're going to get a number right around that 36x. Sometimes it's a little bit lower, sometimes it's higher, depending on the year, but it's a pretty significant ROI. If I can spend $1 on something and get $36 back, then I'm going to do that all day. Over 20% of consumers open an email within the first hour. 34% of customers say that they're more likely to purchase from email than any other platform. And customers rank email as their number one preferred method of communication with and supporting businesses they like. So it's important. The email list is yours. It's one of the only assets in your business that you actually own. And what I mean by that is like your social media account, you're kind of leasing that. It's not yours. Somebody can take it away from you. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I've had horror stories where one of my good friends had built up an Instagram account of hundreds of thousands of followers and got shut down for no reason. He didn't do anything wrong, didn't break any rules. His account got banned, shut down, and all of those followers gone. He had to start from scratch because it's on somebody else's platform. Your email list, you own that list. Nobody can take it away from you. So whenever there's those moments where like Facebook and Instagram crash for like 24 hours and everybody freaks out, those of us who have our email list in place, we're just kind of chilling, not really too worried about it. And one simple email has the power to do this, which is getting a bunch of people to enroll in coaching. This is for my one-on-one high ticket nutrition coaching program. This was one offer email. I'm going to go over the offer email framework with you that I do every single month. I do the same exact offer framework every single month, and without fail, we get client enrollments every time we do it. And we get responses like this, like, let's do this. I'm in, I'll go for the 6 months. I'd be interested in the 3K coaching program, just completed the payment. This is all one offer email structure that you can rinse and repeat every single month and get new client enrollments. So real quick, if you don't know who I am, like I mentioned, I am a nutrition coach, business owner, copywriter, marketer, business coach. So I started in the industry as a personal trainer 12-ish years ago, and then got into nutrition coaching, started my own nutrition coaching business in 2018, started a daily email, picked up traction pretty quickly. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew I wanted to be consistent with something. I wasn't in on social media at the time. I was just, all right, I'm going to send emails. I had like 10 people on my list, and I was just sharing like personal stories and my own struggles and things that I was learning about as a coach. And all of a sudden I was gaining traction. My readers, like my 10 subscribers, were sending it to friends and family, and more people were signing up. And it gained so much traction that eventually other coaches started asking me how I was doing what I was doing. That was me as a personal trainer way back in the day. My nutrition coaching business is called Peak Optimization Performance, or POP for short. I named it after my grandfather, who passed away right before I started my business. I called him Pop Up, so I wanted my business to honor him. And then I wrote a book called The Personality Diet. And that's my beautiful family, where kind of what this is all about for me anyway. I want to give my wife and my stepkids the life that they deserve, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. So 2020 was kind of a pivotal year for me. I had gained a lot of traction with my business. I had scaled very quickly. I actually hit my first $500,000 year in year one, my first full calendar year in business. And that was primarily through email marketing. And in 2020, I had hired some really bad mentors, and got a lot of bad advice. I was not a natural at sales. I am very introverted, so sales always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I was being taught a lot of like the traditional kind of bro marketing tactics, like you got to make people feel really bad about their situation and dig the pain really deep so that they have no choice but to hire you. A lot of the marketing stuff that just morally didn't align with what I align with, and so I even hired a sales coach. I paid like $24,000 for a sales coach, and it was like the worst experience of my life. He would make me record my calls, and then he would tell me that I needed to make people cry on the phone in order to get them to sign up, and I just completely wasted that money. And at that point, end of 2020, I had a conversation with my wife in this office where I'm right now, and I told her like, I don't think I can run this business anymore. I just started it in 2018, and scaled it pretty quickly, but um, I was like, listen, if I have to market this way, if I have to sell this way, I don't think I can do it. And it was around December of 2020, and she was like, rather than quitting, why don't you just start doing things the way that you want to do them instead of how other people are telling you to do it? Why don't you just stick to your morals and keep your integrity and actually market the way that you want? So that's what I did. In February of 2021, I hit my first six-figure month, primarily driven through email. That was around the time that I stopped doing sales calls and everything. And I just started giving everything away. I started telling people everything, like all of these business mentors who would tell me, like, don't tell people how you get them results. Just tell them the results that you can get them, or tell them how painful their situation is, and then make them pay you for the answers. I stopped doing all of that. I just started telling people everything about what we do and who we help and how we help them. And even the price point, which people told me was crazy. They're like, you can't tell people your prices. They have to get on a call first. All that stuff. I just threw it out the window and did my own thing and started hitting six-figure months very consistently. So the reason why I don't like the screenshots and everything is because behind the scenes, I was still burning out, even though I was marketing the way that I wanted to. The whole running a business thing, and I was scaling and I was hiring assistant coaches, and now I'm managing a team and I have all these other responsibilities that are piling up. And I felt like revenue wise, great, but like I'm paying a lot in expenses. I have a big payroll, and all this stuff just felt overwhelming. So I think sometimes the revenue numbers don't tell the full story. Um, but I knew I was onto something. Like the email process was working, and coaches kept asking me how I was doing what I was doing month over month through email without sales calls. And so it was actually my wife who was like, she's the brains of this operation, if you can't tell. And she was like, you got to put this together into some kind of a system or framework that you can teach other coaches, because obviously you have something that other people want, and you need to be able to define it and be able to teach it and help others integrate it. So she's like, I think that's going to be something valuable in time. And she was 100% right. So I created this email engine system. During that time, I grew my email list to over 50,000 subscribers. I was able to do multiple six-figure challenge launches, grew my team to 15 coaches, scaled my business to multiple seven figures. It still really wasn't happy because I was doing a lot of stuff that I didn't like. So I decided to pull everything back, get rid of all the things that I didn't enjoy doing. The day-to-day crap in my business. I really enjoyed doing two things. I loved writing my emails, and I liked recording my podcast. Everything else, I was like, yeah, I could do without it. So I got rid of a lot of stuff. I um, leaned out my team and everything, and just focused on doing what I want to do. And then I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could recreate these kind of results without all of the like excess fluff in the business. So I created a course for coaches to help them with copywriting, and I only promoted it through an email list of 300 people. I basically took my main list, which was for people who wanted to lose weight and get fit and healthy. And I said, is anybody in here a coach? And that was how I started my coach list. Excuse me. About 300 people replied. So I segmented my list. I had about 300 coaches on my coach list, and I decided to create this course. And it was this little experiment. It was called Copy That Converts. It was priced at $497. And I launched it, and I made 2 sales on day 1. And I was like, this is going to be a giant failure. You can't find this course anywhere. There's no public post about it. I didn't do any ads. I didn't do anything publicly. It was literally just to that email list and that email list alone. And then after 3 months, I sent weekly emails with nothing else. I didn't do ads or social posts. I ended up getting over 160 coaches enrolled in that product just through email with no other marketing efforts whatsoever. So, and the reason is because the money is in the list, quite literally. So I knew that like the nurture and monetization process was in place, but I felt like how do you, like being able to teach somebody how to grow their email list from scratch was kind of the last piece of the puzzle. But I realized that I had that strategy right in front of my face. So I ended up implementing a growth strategy, got my coach audience to over 10,000 subscribers, which was a 36x growth in 12 months. And then I launched my next product, which is the collective, which I currently run. That has over 550 coaches in it since March 1st of 2024. Most notably, we've only had 10 days since that time where zero sales have come in on the collective. The collective is a membership where I teach and give away all of the email stuff and marketing stuff that I've learned over the years and have been successful with. And I put it in a membership that's kind of like a copy and paste done for you type of membership. It's a 7-day free trial and then $97 a month. And we've only had 10 days since launching with zero sales. So all the pieces kind of came together and I was able to verify and test this process many times over with different audiences and different niches. And then obviously having, I have hundreds and hundreds of testimonials from coaches who have followed the same process. And that was kind of the complete email engine puzzle. So getting into it, if you guys have ever heard the kind of marketing lie that you're just one funnel away, it's not true. It feels like it's true because the physical construct of a funnel makes us think that if we just put leads into the top of a funnel that they'll become clients. The problem is that people aren't liquid, right? Like a physical funnel, if I put liquid into a funnel, it has no choice but to come out the bottom because of gravity. But with humans, when they're going through a sales funnel, when we acquire leads or we generate leads, they have choices. They can opt out. They can go somewhere else. They can join, one of your competitors' programs. So that's the reality, is that humans are not liquid, and we have to create gravity through the funnel if we want them to eventually become clients. And the way that we do that, it's three things through your funnel. You need this every step of the way. Certainty, clarity. It actually should be clarity, certainty, trust. Clarity is, what problems do you solve and for who? So when somebody learns about you, when you have a new lead, they have to immediately know that you can solve their problems. What problems do you solve and who do you solve them for? That has to be immediately known. And then certainty is, how do you do it? And how do I know that it's different than what I've tried in the past? Because 99% of the time, probably 100% of the time, the clients that we enroll and the leads and prospects that we talk to, they've tried a bunch of other things. This is not their first rodeo. It's not their first go around most of the time. So when somebody comes to you and they're like, okay, I know that you help XYZ person solve XYZ problems, but how do I know that your process is going to work? And how do I know that it's different from the other things I've tried that haven't worked? And then trust is, do I trust you to actually follow through on that? So I know what you do and what problems you solve. I feel really good about your process and it makes sense that it's different. So I think this will work for me, but do I actually trust you, the person or the business, to follow through on those promises? And those are the three ingredients that we need every step of the way to turn somebody from a lead to a client. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. Here's the simplest and most effective way to grow and monetize your list. 3 steps. This will help you attract, nurture, and enroll dream clients every single month. Step 1, like I mentioned, if you're already posting content, you've got the hard part done. If you're not posting content, start doing that. Doesn't have to be daily, just some kind of a consistent cadence. 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever you can do. Start doing it or keep doing it. And then remember, content is nothing more than a test. A lot of times coaches get very emotionally attached to their content. Like something doesn't perform well and we take it personally. It's just a test. Just remember, we're just finding data. We're accumulating data. Each piece of content, you've got your hook, your headline, got your message, your solution. the style and the format that you're posting in. And all we're just doing is finding what resonates with your audience. We're finding the combination that works for your specific audience. Detach from the outcome, become a scientist. Data is your best friend here. So if you're ever struggling with content ideas, this will help you. Outline the entire step-by-step process you use for your clients to get their dream outcome. Every single thing that you do from the time that you onboard somebody to all the steps of your program. You're going to map that out step by step. You're going to group those steps into 3 to 4 phases or frameworks. And then you're going to write a list of every single micro problem or situation under each phase that derails your prospect from completing that phase. So, for example, a lot of times, like we will work with coaches who do some kind of like reverse diet for, let's say you're working with people who are chronic undereaters, and one of your phases is reverse dieting. Okay, so what are all the little micro problems that get in the way of somebody completing a successful reverse diet? Well, they might binge because they're eating too little. They might come home after a hard day at work and, raid the pantry. They might be drinking too much alcohol on the weekends. They might be, maybe not getting in enough protein, right? There's all of these different micro problems that come up. And so we're going to write down a list of every single one of them. And those micro problems are your content ideas. You can actually type those into Google, and there's a little section that says people also ask, and you could do that drop down and get endless content ideas. But those are the micro problems and those little situations, like the person coming home after a hard day at work and raiding the pantry. That's a situation. Micro problem situation. That's your content. All you're going to do is solve them, like fully solve them, hold nothing back. Tell people exactly how you solve that micro problem. So if you're so-and-so person and you notice that every day after work you raid the pantry and end up, faced first in a bag full of chips, here's a quick way that you can solve that so it never happens again. And then give them the solution that you would help a client with. And all we're looking for is for your content styles, you can test different things like plain background posts, B-roll footage with some text overlay, social proof, testimonial style, talking head videos, tweet posts. Just keep testing, talking. You can literally, if you're like, I have an idea how I want to present this, this piece of content, try it. Just test it. See what sticks. And all we're doing is each week, we're just trying to find the high performers. Basically, did it outperform your norm? Strong engagement, likes, comments, and shares. Did it over index like your normal reach and impressions? Excuse me. So if you have a post that, let's say on average, you get 2,000 views on a video and you have one that gets 6,000 views, that's over indexed reach. Maybe you get more DMs and comments that you didn't get a huge reach. Sometimes like very targeted posts that are a little bit more sensitive. Like if you're talking about somebody with, I don't know, like perimenopausal symptoms or maybe like low sex drive, not a lot of people are going to like raise their hand publicly and be like, yes, I have no sex drive. Maybe they will, but some people are a little bit more private about that stuff. So they might message you privately and say, you know what, that post about having no libido because of perimenopausal symptoms or whatever, like that really resonated with me. So if you're getting DMs or you're getting, private messages about a specific post, that's an indication that it was a high performer. And then obviously you want to filter by relevance. A dog video may get a ton of reach, but if it has no relevance to your client avatar, then you can ignore that. I had a client of mine who like went viral and he was so excited about all the new followers he was getting, but the post had nothing to do with fitness or nutrition. He's like, why aren't these people converting into clients? But the video itself was completely unrelated to his area of expertise. So he was getting a lot of people that had no interest whatsoever in fitness. And he's trying to talk to them about, what are you doing for your strength training plan? And they're like, nothing. And so it has to be relevant to your ideal client avatar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those high performers and we're going to give away a resource accelerator, which is basically a lead magnet that helps them solve that problem faster. That's why I call it a resource accelerator. It accelerates the solution. So when I say like, hey, I can tell you how to write an offer email that'll enroll clients every month. That's cool. I can teach you the framework. A resource accelerator is, hey, do you just want the template of that offer email that you can plug and play and enroll new clients right away? That accelerates your ability to get the solution. So rather than having to learn the whole framework, you can get the template, plug and play, and that accelerates your ability to get the result that you want. So if we know what posts and what angles are performing well, and we create just a little resource, it doesn't have to be much, to accelerate their ability to get that solution, we already know that your audience is interested because we found the high performers and we know that they have that, they're resonating with that problem and that solution. We give them a resource that they raised their hand for. Now we can move them onto your email list consistently. And you can do this every single week. You can do this in your stories. You can do this in your posts. I have somebody who I work with, and she's a nutrition coach. She's more in like the functional space. This is all she does is hand raisers where people just like, yes, I want that resource that you're offering, starts conversations with people, gets them on her email list, and closes through DMs and email. Doesn't do sales calls. And she does like 80K a month with a pretty small team. All she does is this first phase of this process and just repeats it over and over again. You can also use this strategy if you're ever interested in doing like some low budget ads. It actually works really well. I don't want to, that running ads and that whole thing is another topic for another day. But once you know what resonates with your audience from a content perspective, you can start having some fun with it. Again, it feeds your email list, but it can also feed your paid ad strategy as well. All right, step 2. Now you have people coming onto your email list. Now we want to move them around the bases. I like the sports analogies. I think of like when somebody learns about me, I'm getting them on first base, right? So they've consumed something, they've raised their hand, they wanted a resource. I've got them on first base. Well, now I have to move them around the bases until they become a client, which is when they cross home. So we're going to bust beliefs. We're going to give them some insights. We're going to overcome objections. We're going to answer their questions. And then we're going to give them an offer when they're actually ready. A lot of people will be sitting on third base. And that's the reason why my offer framework and my offer email template works so well, is because a lot of coaches have prospects sitting on third base that they didn't even realize they had. And then they put a very clear offer in front of them. They're like, oh my God, I got 6 people to sign up this week. I got 10 people to sign up. It's like, where did that come from? It's like, well, yeah, you were being consistent with your content. You had a bunch of people that were right there. They just needed the offer. They just needed to know how to work with you, and they needed it spelled out for them like a 5th grader. And then we delivered and they were ready to go. So that's step 2. And the way that we do that is with belief shifting emails. If nothing else, this is the main thing that I want you to take away from this whole training. The belief shifting email framework, also known as Black Swan marketing, is probably the most powerful nurture framework because it takes people from first base to third base very quickly. And then sometimes it brings them all the way home as a client. Sometimes they're just sitting on third base and they just need that offer email to get them to enroll. But the whole concept of Black Swan marketing, if you're not familiar with it, there was, a period of time where people thought that the only swans that existed were white swans. And you could argue with people all day and say, no, you're wrong. There are black swans out there. And the people would say, no matter what, you couldn't convince them that there were black swans. They would just say, no, there's only white swans. I've only ever seen white swans. And it didn't matter if you like showed them a picture or whatever, but if you could like physically show somebody a black swan, like walking, like, hey, look, or swimming or whatever, like, look at this black swan. Even then they'd be a little bit like, wait a minute, I don't know. But it just creates this little crack in the armor of their beliefs. And the reason why this is so important is because a lot of times the way that we coach or our coaching philosophy, people have counter beliefs. Like, for example, if there's a flexible dieting coach and they're trying to talk to somebody about flexible dieting, but the audience that they're speaking to believes that carbs are evil or sugar makes you fat or whatever it is, that's going to be a difficult sell to be like, no, you're wrong. Flexible dieting is the answer. It's like saying, no, there's only white swans. Or there are black swans. And they're like, no, I've only ever seen white swans. So what we want to do is create a belief shifting kind of like framework that cracks the armor. And then on their own, eventually they'll see enough black swans where they have no choice but to shift their belief. And the armor comes crumbling down. And what's important is that the individual believes that it was their idea. Like, nobody told them to change their belief. Nobody told them that flexible dieting was the answer, for example, but they're like, you know what? I think that carbs are fine in moderation. I actually think that a flexible dieting plan is the way to go. And then there's that coach that they're like, that's the person that I want to help me. And they came to that conclusion on their own. And that's the most powerful type of email that you can write. And I'm going to explain how to do that. Stories are really powerful when you can share personal stories or client stories. Anytime you can give an over-the-shoulder view of what you do as a coach, some of the best content that you can create. I love writing emails where there's just like a quick call to action for an over-the-shoulder view. Like, do you want to see the exact shift that I made to help this client go from never emailing their list to emailing once a week and enrolling 10 clients per month through email? And then you can just break down like the over-the-shoulder view, testimonials and social proof, and then behind the scenes look at what you're doing. Anything that gives people a little bit more of like an intimate look at what you do as a coach and how you help clients can be really powerful. But the main thing that I want to focus on is the belief shifting framework. So here's how that works. We start with the micro problem and situation that your ideal client faces, and we want to articulate it in their words. That's number one. That's how we capture attention. We want somebody to hear the situation and be like, oh my God, that's me. So a big mistake that a lot of coaches make when it comes to emails, when it comes to content, is they speak way too broadly. Everybody talks about, muscle building and fat loss and performance improvements and whatever else, like more energy and more confidence and more strength and, better performance. That's all great. It's too broad. It doesn't strike a chord. It's not like, damn, that's me. Where like I had a coach that I worked with who helped like busy CEOs and entrepreneurs. And he would talk about like, if you're a busy professional and you want to lose weight, and it's like, just wasn't landing. I was like, why don't we try this? If you have your corporate luncheons and you struggle to make healthy choices and it's impacting your body composition, right now, all of a sudden we're getting to a very specific situation. And I had him create a post like that and write an email like that. And he got clients immediately. And he had somebody that was like, I literally just had a corporate luncheon on Tuesday and had no idea how to stick to my diet. So instead, I just ate the pizza that was provided and felt like shit for it. It was like huge light bulb moment. So the micro problem situation is super important when you can articulate it like in their words and they know that you understand their problems on a deep level. And then you want to explain why it's happening. So you want to give them insight that, hey, you're not a unicorn and you're not broken. Like this is completely normal. Here's exactly why this is happening to you. And then let them know why their past or current efforts or what conventional wisdom tells them hasn't or doesn't work. So all the things that you know to solve that micro problem, like the things that they've tried. So for the person that's like, binging every time they come home from work, and you're like, the reason why that's happening is because you're stressed all day, you're under eating, and then your body is like, get me energy as fast as possible. So you go to the highest calorie food in the pantry, which makes sense, because you're so underfed and stressed out, whatever. And like past or current efforts, what you probably have done to try to resolve that is tell yourself you're just going to be more disciplined, or you try to overcompensate by eating even less. And here's why that hasn't worked and doesn't work, because it's only making the pattern worse. You're lowering your energy even further. You're trying to rely on willpower, which runs its course by the end of your workday. And now they understand, like, okay, what I'm currently doing is not going to cut it. And then here's the key. We want to outline exactly what works instead. So then we go into, here's exactly how to solve this problem. And we give them the answer. Instead of doing it this way, try this. And then we want to connect the dots between solving that problem and getting to that dream outcome that they want. So when you stop binging after work every day, that's going to allow you to lose the next 20 pounds, whatever dream outcome they desire. And then we also want to subtly let them know that, by the way, this is the exact thing that we do in our one-on-one coaching program that allows our clients to achieve XYZ results. So now it's a kind of a full circle moment where they know that you understand what they're going through. You can articulate and explain to them why it's happening, which is giving. You can tell them, like, hey, I know what you're currently doing or what conventional wisdom tells you to do. Here's why that's ineffective. Here's what to do instead. So now they've gotten genuine value. You've given them the answer. They can take the answer and run with it. They don't need you anymore. And then you connect the dots between that solution and the dream outcome. And then you connect that to your program to say, this is exactly what we do with our one-on-one clients when we take them through our 3-phase system that helps them achieve XYZ results. That alone will get people reaching out. That alone will get people replying to your emails and saying, that's amazing. Tell me more about your coaching program. Exactly how does it work? Can I hear more? You'll get inquiries framework alone. This is the type of thing that happens with people sending those types of emails. 5 or 6 inquiries, closed 3 new clients after this email, had one of the easiest one-call close after belief shifting framework, right nurture process makes everything so much easier. 8 new clients, first email in the sequence. When you're on a sales call, the potential client says your emails hit way too close to home. Closed a paid in full for 6 months. So it works. It's very effective. Once you find out that formula on the belief shifting framework and you start to really nail your message, you can start to play around with different formulas. Some of the ones that I love the most: problem, solution, before, after, traditional, unique, hard versus easy, shock, explanation, story, lesson, analogy, translation, moment, background, promise, teaching, assumption, reality. These are ways of saying the same thing differently, because proper messaging is basically taking the exact same thing that your audience already resonated with and just positioning it in a different, so that it feels new, but it's really the same thing. Like, that's all the best kind of copywriters and people who really nail their messaging. This is all they do. They find their winning formula for messages, or like what resonates with their audience, and they just present it slightly differently each time. They'll tell it as a before and after story. They'll be like, most people assume that email has to be really hard, but here's an easy way to implement it. Or, I couldn't shock and explanation. I couldn't believe when 15 people replied to my offer email ready to sign up for coaching. Here's exactly how it happened, right? So it's the same message, just positioned slightly differently. So you can have some, unique spins on the message that works well for your audience. And then the final step is we make a direct offer through email every single month. That was the offer template, offer framework that I was talking about. So you have a lot of prospects on third base. They just need clear direction. This is where we guide them home. And the offer framework is really straightforward. What is your offer? Who is it for? What are the results that can be expected in what timeline? What are the exact steps of the program? What do they get in terms of accountability? What qualifications do they need? Like, what makes them a good client? Do they have to already be working out? Do they have to have some knowledge of nutrition? Do they have to, whatever, like what do they need to bring to the table that makes them successful, that allows them to be successful? And then what's the price? If you're not comfortable sharing your price, give them a ballpark estimate, low 4-figure investment. high three-figure investment per month it is. And then what is the next step for them to take, right? Do you want to get on a call with them? The next step would be for you to click on my calendar and book a time so we can make sure it's a good fit. What's the next step? And I'll give you my offer email example with the template. So for everybody who's here and anybody who watches the replay, I will give you that template so that you can convert new clients every single month. If you do nothing else, like for those of you that said you're already sending emails, just edit this template, send it out. If you're already emailing your list consistently, just do this once and you'll get some clients from it. And then you'll follow this process every single month and it will work every single month. These are offer emails. People sold an 18-month 10K all through email from an offer email. 2 program signups via email. 2 calls booked from your email. 6 already this month from email. So, yeah. Would you be interested in kind of hearing how you can do this all in like plug and play fashion? I can just run through that real quick on a way that you can do that and get all the templates and frameworks that you need outlined for you so you can just copy and paste and plug all of this in. Is that cool if I just go through that real quick? All right, let's do that. The Collective is a plug and play business engine for coaches and any coach, business owner. What we have is our entire step-by-step audience and email growth strategy in there, done for you, lead magnets and landing pages to build for your list. We do 12 of the belief shifting nurture templates every month that help to move your prospects around the bases. We do 2 of our offer email sequences every month so you can consistently enroll new clients. We have weekly strategy calls for implementation and feedback. We have full automations built out and email sequences for pretty much everything you can think of. Like if you're hosting a workshop and you need an email sequence, we have it. If you're running a challenge and you need an email sequence, we have it. If you need a welcome sequence when people join your list, we have it. Everything is already built out for you. We do workshops and trainings on ads, DM conversations, marketing, content calendars, and a whole lot more. And it does include your entire CRM software. It is all included. It's all loaded up specifically for coaches. So it is like the most done for you. Yes, you have to edit the templates. Yes, you have to push send on the emails. Yes, you have to create the content, have the conversations. The average ROI in the Collective is 25.2x per month. There's about 550 coaches in there right now. On average, ROI month over month is 25.2x for the coaches who are in there. It's a 7-day free trial to start. So you can take everything and start using the templates, start using the offer templates. We have a whole section that is just on quick wins for your business that you can take those templates, send them, and convert right away. So most people see their return before their $97 hits after the first week. So it's 7-day free trial, then 97 a month after that. No contract, no length, minimum commitment or anything like that. You can cancel anytime. But most of the coaches hit that ROI before their 7 days are up. And then for anybody who is here and anybody who signs up from this webinar, I have 2 AI things that I created. One is a conversion wizard that basically takes all of our best converting emails and it prompts you to create your own. So it walks you through like 7 different prompts where you it'll say, click to get started. You click to get started. It'll ask you the questions and then it will spit out a high converting email that will definitely get you some clients. And then I also have with the resource accelerator that we talked about, like a hand raiser wizard that does your videos for reels for getting people to comment on your posts so you can get some conversations started and grow your email list that way. So for anybody who does sign up from this webinar, I'll add those to AI assets for you. And yeah, that's pretty much the best way to get everything in like plug and play, true plug and play fashion. And again, it's a 7-day free trial. You can see for yourself The best thing to do is see if you can convert a client within 7 days, because then your ROI is already established before you pay anything. And you can go to the collective.inc if you're interested in doing that. So just wanted to go over that. Again, if you have a CRM and like you're paying for like Go High Level or Kajabi or MailChimp or anything like that, everything in the collective, you can use the CRM and cancel all of that other stuff. Or we deliver all of our templates in a Google Drive as well. So that's your other option, is you keep your existing CRM and you just copy and paste the templates that we have, and you'll still be able to convert through your existing CRM. So you can just go to the collective.inc if you want to learn more about signing up. Everybody signs up from here. Just be sure to let me know that you're from this webinar, and then I will send you the AI wizards that are pretty helpful.